Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Arham and I'm a third year medic at the University of Oslo in Norway. Now, today I want to talk to you guys about 5 med school myths that I have personally come across plenty of times. Okay, so let's just dive straight into the video and bust 5 med school myths under 5 minutes. This is one of the most common misconceptions about medical students. And I personally find it quite amusing at times when people talk about how one needs to be a genius or have a super high IQ in order to not only get into medicine but also survive med school. However, that is not the case in my opinion, because I believe that people with average intelligence, if I'm allowed to say so, can totally get through med school. For me, it's not about being intelligent, but it's more about being smart. You need to firstly be smart enough to realize and understand the importance of the work ethic that is required of med school, and hence be smart enough to accordingly develop the kind of work ethic and discipline that will help you breeze through med school. For instance, I do not consider myself as a super intelligent human being, but rather who's maybe at his best slightly above average in intelligence. Or at least that's what I would like to think. I believe it's my determination and work ethic which has, by the grace of God, has helped me throughout my journey. Of course, there are medics who are super intelligent and geniuses as well, but that is only a small minority in my experience. Most of them are simply dedicated and super hardworking individuals. One of the most common questions that I get is that, do medics even have a social life? And to be very honest, that is also a misconception that I used to have before I started med school. I mean, most of the people out there have this general opinion or impression that medics are like super nerds who do not really have a social life. And even though most of us are massive nerds, but we still manage to somehow have a pretty reasonable social life. After getting into med school, I was actually quite impressed by how multi-talented my fellow students were. And most of us, with time, developed the ability to balance out the sheer amount of workload in med school with other social activities like, I don't know, going to the gym or being active in fraternities and student organizations or doing any kind of other extracurricular work. So yeah, your social life is definitely not over once you get into med school. There's absolutely no doubt about the fact that the sheer workload in med school can be super challenging at times. But when I hear people talk about how the curriculum or the course itself is not that hard, I personally find it a bit weird, to be honest. Let me explain what I mean by that. So, let's say we are talking about, I don't know, heart failure. Yeah? So we have all these different types of heart failures, like systolic versus diastolic, or acute versus chronic heart failure, and right-sided versus left-sided. The thing is, it's not really that difficult to learn these different types of heart failures or even distinguish them from each other. But then you start going into the details about the different structural heart changes that we have as a result of heart failure, yeah, like hypertrophy or dilation of the chambers. And then you get even a bit more curious and decide to dig a little bit deeper into all those molecular mechanisms that lead to these structural changes in the heart as a result or as a consequence of heart failure. Now that is when things might start getting super tricky and you're like, okay, well, I don't know if that's really relevant to the exam, so let me just not worry about that for the moment. My point is that the course in itself is obviously very hard, but we choose to not make it hard by learning the ability to pick what we need to know or what we must know and discarding the rest and all those other minor details. The vast majority of medics are high achievers in school or are used to knowing everything or being the best in every subject at college, but most of the medics eventually realize that this is not how it works in med school. I may consider myself as excellent in, I don't know, physiology or anatomy, but then I might suck in other fields or in other courses like genetics or immunology. So that is not really a big deal, guys, because I think that is something you slowly get used to. I don't really know how common this misconception is, but I have personally come across a few people who think that there is some kind of toxic competition going on between medical students in order to increase their chances of getting residency in their desired specializations. From my experience, that is not correct at all. or at least in most cases. It is more like everybody is trying to work towards a mutual goal and uplifting each other by sharing notes, having group studies and colloquiums, and generally just helping each other out. That's a wrap for today, guys. Now, I'm fairly new to this YouTube thing, so if you guys are interested in knowing why I started my channel, then kindly check out my first video where I talk about the 3 main reasons for creating this channel. So take care, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.